everybody, and welcome to the November edition of the Baldock Folk Club Roundup show. So we've had a packed month this month, full of music, and we also had a very special event during the month, and that was the launch of Brian Burke's Baldock Ballads. That's a bit of a mouthful, don't try saying that when you've had too much to drink. But we're very excited about it because Brian, who runs the club, he's a very, very prolific songwriter. Ever since I've known him, there's been a constant stream of great songs that he's come out with. But I only discovered recently that over the past few years, he's also been writing ballads about Baldock. I think he's written 28 of them so far, and he's going to tell you all about them later on in the show, when he and Tony Gammage are going to get together and have a chat about it. And we'll also play a couple of the ballads. But we're going to start off the music now with one of Brian's ballads. It's called Our Glorious Dead. It's quite fitting in the month of November, the month of remembrance, that we start off with that. And it's about the men and the boys, in many cases, who fought and died from Baldock, who went to war from Baldock and perished during both world wars. So we'll start with that. It's a beautiful ballad, and then we're going to go on to some of the music that we've had at the club. On the 3rd of November we had Elizabeth and Jameson, who are a wonderful duo, very professional, very accomplished. Hannah Elizabeth, she plays the piano, accordion and the fiddle, and she also sings like an angel. And Griff Jameson, he plays guitar and sings too. And they also were joined on that night by Griff's brother, who plays, I've forgotten his name at the moment, but he plays, he's actually in Fred's House, local band who are very successful. He plays the guitar, the piano and the electric bass guitar. So that was a great night. And we also had our support act that night was a local singer-songwriter, Steve Warner. So it was a really lovely evening. And so we're going to play a couple of clips of that, and then we're also going to finish this little segment with a clip of Tony Gammage, who's one of the organisers here at the club. Well, not here at the club, here's my house, but they're at the club. And Tony is singing along with the other Tangler Irregulars at the regular session that we have at the Cock every month. So we'll finish with that, and I'll see you later.
They seem but names upon the wall that grow ever fainter with each passing year, and the young folks ask who are they at all, but in our own town we hold them marched away, and the lucky ones, they came back men. Oh, at the dimming day and the setting sun, we will indeed remember, and the cars roll by, people pace this little shrine of trance, but half a glance. Some little puppies faded at its base, for the laughing lads killed in the mud of France when the world died. Always Hitler's separately once again. Oh, at the dimming day Baby, just stop for a minute and take another breath. We can make it all worthwhile. When nowhere love can we live by the sea? Can we leave this old rat race and learn to be free? The dream could be real, so just hold on to me. So come with me, darling, and live by the sea. Take a chance and dream with me. This isn't all that it can be. We'll get there.
Listen to the winter tides falling as we want us to stay.
Can we just stop for a minute? I think I've reached my limit. I wanna run away sometimes. Baby, just stop for a minute and take another breath. We can make it all worthwhile. When you're in love, can we live by the sea? Can we live this old rat race and learn to be free? The dream could be real, so just hold on to me. So come with me, darling, and live by the sea.
Don't show it, try to mistake me, no, no, no. You sit down and I stand up. You sit down, I stand up. Had enough of your non-speech. Rain has put me out of reach. Made my move from this town. You don't stare and I just watch. Well, you think you're in the right, slipping down, but you don't know it. You don't know it, and you don't show it. Try to restrain me, no, no, no. You sit down and I stand up. You sit down, I stand up. You sit down, I stand up.
Like falling rain, you toss me around, blow my mind. Whoa. Your cheating heart will tell on you, okay.
Well, one day last week, it was a beautiful day, sun shining, blue sky, and Tony and Brian went for a little wander in Baldock, which is a lovely town. I know when I first came to live in this area, I used to go to Baldock to the antique shops. Well, they were quite high-end antique shops, and at the other end of the spectrum there were more like junk shops, but there were quite a few of them. And I practically furnished my house out of those shops. Well, those, and there was an auction house, a sale room that I used to go to as well. So anyway, that's by the by. So Brian's going to tell us now all about his book of the Baldock Ballads, which is an absolutely beautiful book, and he's going to sing a couple of songs from it. So we're going to go and watch that now.
Well, hello everyone. We're sitting in this wonderful park just close to Tesco Extra in Baldock on what used to be the tennis courts.
Indeed.
I'd just like to ask a few questions of Brian. And,
Ask away, boy.
we're going to
I'll
start
only
with,
tell you lies.
as you all know, Brian does not sound like he's a Hertfordshire lad, originally from Ireland. So, just tell us a little bit how you came to get to know about Baldock and your connection with the place.
Well, just to clarify, but actually, both sets of family are Irish, but I was born in Hitchin, so I spent a lot of my youth in Ireland as well. But I regard both places as my home, spiritual home.
Now, next thing we're going to ask you is about your musical background in the town and how you've come about connecting with the town musically.
Well, actually, Baldock's always been, a lively town for musical events. When this place, Bonda, was here, they had a place called the John Gooden Day Centre, which had lots of bands and what have you, early 50s and 60s. The pubs have always been fairly lively for music. I was always really involved in trad Irish music from an early age. Well, the Beatles and trad Irish were my two sort of were passions of mine. And another band called the Rolling Stones actually played the John Gooden Day Centre here when they were sort of setting out and what have you. And the legend is, whether it's the truth or not, the legend is they were actually thrown out of the George and Dragon, which is a very posh hotel in those days, for wearing denims. So there we go. Whether they believe that or not, I don't know. But it's let's print the legend, shall we?
I'd like to believe it.
So let's print the legend. So I've always found Baldock to be a very musical place. It's funny enough, when my mother's from in Ireland, a place called Listowel, just outside Listowel. It's a very similar town in terms of poetry, music and what have you. So it's funny, that the two towns, about the same size, had an inordinate amount of pubs back in the day, although both towns are now shorn of a lot of their pubs. I think it's about 9 left in Baldock now and 14 in Listowel, so whereas one had 53 and the other had 30.
Wow.
Different times, but there's always been a real tradition of music in Baldock, and it's grown even in this century with the development of Bullstock, which came out of Sounds of Baldock, which we started off in the back garden of the Engine, and then G took it on and made it into a fantastic festival every September, three days of the year in September. It's full of musicians and what have you. They all play for nothing. It's all raising money for charity.
How's one of your songs in the Baldock Ballads?
Is In Praise of Bullstock.
Yes, second week in September.
You
put it in your diary.
Yeah, put it in your diary, folks, next year. So there we are. So I've always found Baldock to be a lively musical town, and we've probably played in most of the pubs in Baldock as Gorgeous Rex or what have you over the years. And it's a bit of a joke that the custom was that they'd either pay you a couple of quid, 20 quid, or free drink. We always went for the free drink option. And they'd say 2 weeks later, they'd say, no, next time you come, we're going to pay you. So you can draw from that what you like.
Right, we've got the Baldock Ballads, which were released or brought out to the public just a week or so ago.
Inflicted on the public, shall we say.
So tell us how all that came about, Brian.
Well, that came about from the Fireside Festival they had in Baldock that started off about 8 years ago. And someone asked me would I write a ballad about Baldock, and I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. So I sort of wrote this epic in praise of Baldock. It was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek story of Baldock over the last 2,000 years, how it punched above its weight, all the local legends and what have you. And we performed it in 2014 at the Fireside Festival and thought that'd be it, end of Baldock stories. But then they kept appearing, and I suddenly realised that this little town was, and there's probably a lot of little towns all over the country the same, if you want to go back and think about how to write little stories about them. That's all the ballads are. They're a story, a song that tells a story. That years ago, pamphleteers would have had them in the local market and be selling them, and at market fairs and stuff like that. So the Baldock Ballads is the idea behind that, really. And we'd recorded 14 of them live at the Orange Tree, so that's why I picked these as the first 14. But I've got another 17 since.
Oh,
so
volume 2?
You never know. If people can stand it, we might do volume 2. Volume 1 is selling quite well, so folks, get in here.
Just to point out as well, the fantastic, not just is there a great CD in, but it's a wonderfully written book with all the song lyrics in there as well, and a little bit of description
and
how
all
they
the
came about.
illustrations.
But it's the
great.
illustrations that are really
brilliant.
amazing.
My mother's friend Christine Davis, Chris as we know her,
Absolutely fantastic in putting all the ideas onto illustration for me from the songs.
And where can we get the book from?
Where you can get the book from is there's a shop behind us here called Vintage Company, Broner's shop. She's got a stock of them. Cafe Luna has got a stock of them, and the Hospice shop will have a stock of them as well, because the proceeds, after the huge costs that have gone out and putting it together, the proceeds will go to the hospice, any profits left over. So they will be selling from the Hospice shop as well next week. So they're the three sort of outlets in Baldock you can get them, and maybe David's in Letchworth, but I'm not sure. But sure, that's good enough anyway. So.
And you can also bring them along to the club nights.
Yeah, I'll bring them
when
to
we have
folk nights.
Wednesday
yeah,
club nights.
That's right,
Brian will be selling them there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So thank you for the interest in it, Tony. It's great, and thank you, folks, for listening in. And if you want to, if you're listening from this and you're not around Baldock, you can always ring me on 077 68 27 4037. And I'll package you one up and send it off to you with a couple of quid postage and packaging. They're £10 each, or they're 3 for £25. So it's not just the book; you get the CD as well. So
fantastic.
So there we are, guys.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Right, Brian, we're going to talk about a couple of the most wonderful songs you've written.
Thank you.
First one
Yes.
is the Ballad of Margaret Field, and I think we're going to listen to that after you.
Sure. Well, Margaret Field, it's a tragic story I heard from the Baldock Society, which is a great place to go and get inspiration of old tales and what have you. And this happened at the end of the First World War, literally a tragic accident for a young girl who, in those days, part of her duty was to go out in the morning and collect dandelion roots for the Ransom factory in Hitchin. I'm not sure what they used them for, obviously boiled them up into something. And herself and a young cousin went out to the fields to pick these up quite an early time of the day, and it turned out that there'd been a bit of a party at one of the houses in Radwell, one of the big houses, and an airman was being picked up by his friend, two-seater plane. Pilot was in the back seat, passenger hopped in the front, and they just literally landed and took off again. Well, the pilot's view was obstructed and didn't really look ahead at all, and this girl was just in the way, and a propeller, of course, caught her and killed her more or less outright. But they didn't even notice. They flew off, and then the coroner's inquiry the next few days was held, and they more or less didn't want any blame attached to the airman, although it was negligence really. And other than today, there'd be all sorts. But in those days, even though the foreman of the jury said this is a ridiculous verdict, there should be some accountability, the powers that be made him sit down, come back with the verdict we're wanting, accidental death, and that was it. And poor old Margaret.
What a sad story.
It's a very sad story, yeah, but it's good so we can remember her anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, we're going to listen to the Ballad of Margaret Field right now.
On the eve of All Hallows, at the end of the Great War, occurred one of the worst tragedies this town ever saw. But poor Margaret Field, she was only 14 when her life it was ended by a flying machine. On her last day in October, she wheeled out a car to the meadows around Radwell to make a fine early start, with a young cousin Horace gathering dandelion roots, her hair still in pigtails and a button of boots. Too young for service, too young for the dance, her brother she'd lost to the Great War in France. Also far from the guns, so far from the fray, a life lost to carelessness and a die of today. Above the meadow, a pilot in an RSC plane picked up a parting companion and took off again. They never bothered to look up, for the fate it was sealed, as
as a propeller, rip the life from poor Margaret. Said Moulton, the pilot, is there a joke there all?
Poor old Margaret Field, what a sad story. So we'll have more of the Baldock Ballads later, but first we're going to have a listen to some of the other musicians who have come and played for us and with us at Baldock throughout the month. Now, myself and Frank, who are also known as CorrMcConnell, we're very honoured to be asked to play at the launch of the book. So we played a few songs, and we're going to kick off with one of those, and then we'll go back to the Cock Pub where Annette and David are going to play us a fiddle tune. Now we're very pleased to have Annette and David come and join us because they are such wonderful musicians, and they're playing a lovely fiddle tune for us here. Then we have Elizabeth and Jameson again with another great song, and then Frank Corr is going to sing Star of the County Down again back at the Cock Pub. So that was lovely. And then we're going to go straight back into the second part of the Baldock Ballads.
I clearly remember I asked you to stay. Then I stepped aside as you walked away. That's what I remember. It was all I could say. Blue sorrow and then some is coming my way. Baby, you're happy now that you're free. But sometimes I wonder, do you think of me? None of that matters at the end of the day. Blue sorrow and then some is coming my way.
From Country Bay to Derry Cay, from Galway to Dublin town. Nobody I've seen like the fair Colleen that I met in the county down. She always made sure to shoot my head and a kiss from the queen. I says I to a passerby who's a maid with the on her. He smiled at me and he says to see that's a gem of my lips around. And blows her hand from the banks of the pond, the star of the county down. From Country Bay and Derry Cay, from Galway to Dublin town. Nobody I've seen like the fine Colleen that I met in the county down. Whoa.
Yeah, and then there's another iconic song you've written about Baldock called Casa Bondo.
Yeah, well, Casa Bondo actually is now where we are at Tesco's. Tesco's is now the frontage of the old Casa Bondo building, which was Baldock's main employer from the sort of early 30s right through to the 80s. And it was stockings and lingerie and what have you. And it attracted people from all over, not just the country, but Ireland and Poland and the continent to work in Baldock. So it was Mansfield Road there is because a lot of people from the Midlands who had experience in factory spinning and all the rest of it came down from Mansfield, so they called it Mansfield Road. But Casa Bondo was a real sort of society in itself, and it had its own sports and social club and its own swimming pool and everything. I can remember as a kid sort of walking up and down, seeing the tennis courts, the swimming pool. There's even a cricket pitch behind there, which was showed it was fairly forward-thinking company, paternalistic. I mean, it was hard graft there as well, but it was certainly what we'd call a paternal company for its workers and workforce. And I think they in turn loved it as well. I still meet old employees from Casa Bondo who miss its passing, as it were. But its time ran out in '85. They demolished. There's a massive big chimney up there, got knocked down, and then the rest of the factory. But fortunately, they left the frontage for us to appreciate the Art Deco frontage, which was meant to be initially a bit of a movie studio after the First World War, but was too far out of London, so it never materialised. So that's when Casa Bondo moved in. Wow. And so that's the story, and off we go.
Okay, and here comes Casa Bondo, the song.
Casa Bondo is a name that's inside to history. From the 40s of all, it had its own community. It brought people from immigrants from across the British Isles, from far away as Poland to the factory styles. And the sound of workers' laughter still echoes on the wind. The sewing machines are tapping, so it's good, so it's them. And the sound of workers' laughter still echoes on the wind. The sewing machines are tapping, so it's good, so it's them. On the site of Elmwood Manor, at the end of the Great War, a movie show was music, gave the thumbs and nothing more. Then along came the hosiery company, and with their jargon and day, with promising kind of factory, and more better pay. Oh, not quite a worker's paradise, the hours were hard and long, but away from the factory floor.
So some nice pictures of Baldock on a sunny day there. I remember Kaiser tights. I didn't know they were made in Baldock. But yes, Kaiser was one of the big brands for stockings and tights. But you know, by the time I was moving from ankle socks into stockings tights, stockings are they were kind of going out of fashion. Tights were the big invention. I do remember Kaiser. Okay, so the next little segment we have of music, we have Steve Warner again, who sings a very poignant song. Then we have Brian with the Tanglers Irregulars, and they're singing a very famous ballad called The Ballad of Willie McBride, another sad war song. Then Elizabeth and Jameson are going to play for us again. And another sad song, CorrMcConnell now is going to sing The King's Shilling. Well, we're going to have a very short snippet of that, continuing with the war theme. And then Greg Rose, who is an organiser at the club, many of you will know him, he's going to tell us about what's happening in December. And I have to tell you, spoiler alert here, it's another bumper month of music. We have got so much stuff coming up, so Greg's going to tell you all about that. And that's about it for this episode. And I just want to remind you, you've got to like, share, subscribe to the video so that lots of people can see what's going on at Baldock Folk Club and enjoy the music. Most of all though, please come down to the club if you can, if you're around in the area. It's every other Wednesday night, 7:30 we start, usually free entry. But we do ask people to make a contribution if they can, and that's how we pay our performers. And it's worked really, really well. Most people are incredibly generous. If you can't, you can't. But for many of us who can, it's a great way to show your appreciation for the performers, and it's worked, as I say, it's worked really well. And then we have a raffle as well. It wouldn't be a folk club without a raffle, would it? And our raffle goes to help run the actual club and pay the costs of the club. Okay, so if you want to know the dates and who's coming up, go to our website, baldockfolkclub.org. If you want to contact us, if you want to buy the book, Baldock Ballads, contact us again through the website. Go to the contact page and you'll find our email address, phone numbers, etc. I think that's about it. So have a wonderful December. Thanks for joining us this evening, and we'll see you again towards the end of the year, or maybe in the new year. Bye bye.
You look the same, you're no wife of mine. You sit so close, you're a million miles. You're checking out before your time. There's a glimpse of you in your smile. Reality bites, you're a million miles. You're checking out before your time. I can see the fog descending. You're broken and there's no mending. Checking out before your time. And I can see the mists of time in the darkness of your eyes. Checking out before your time. There are things you know you can't recall, the names and faces from.
How do you do, Private William McBride? Do you mind if I sit here down at your gravestone and rest for a while in the warm summer sun? I've been travelling all day and I'm nearly done. Well, I see by your gravestone you were only 19 when you joined the Great Fallen in 1915. Well, I hope you died well, and I hope you died. Willie McBride was a slow one of sea. Then they beat the drum slowly, then they played a fight slowly, then their rifles fired on you as they lowered you down. In the box way, the last post leave or a wife or a sweetheart behind. In some faithful heart is your memory enshrined. Ah, you're a clown on the 1950s. In some faithful heart, are you forever 19? Or are you a stranger without even a name? It's lost and never behind the glass frame. In an old photograph or a tattered stain, faded to yellow with a brown frame. That they beat the drum slowly, they played a fight slowly, and their rifles are going as they lowered you down. Did the bands play the last post and chorus? The pipes play the flowers of the foreland.
There's such a sad love deep in your eyes, that kind of pale June, open and close within your eyes, upplace the sky within your eyes. There's such a fooled heart beating so fast in search of new dreams, a love that will last within your heart. I'll place the moon within your heart. As the pain sweeps through, makes no sense for you. Every thrill is gone, wasn't too much fun at all. But I'll be there for you as the world falls down, falling in love.
Oh, my love has left me way bare and straw, and that's the last of him I ever saw. He joined the army and he's marched a war. He took the shilling, he took the shilling, and he's off to war. Come laddies, come, hear the cannons roar. Take the king's shilling and you're off to war.
Hi everyone, it's my pleasure now to tell you about the concerts at Baldock Folk Club for the rest of this year. So firstly, on December the 1st, we have fantastic duo Stella Hensley and Chris Newman. Stella's a well-known singer-songwriter and Chris is a blues, slide and ragtime guitarist who played with the Climax Blues Band, amongst others. Stella and Chris will be supported by 8 Till Late, an acoustic blues trio, including our own Tony Gammage. Then on December the 15th, we have Barry Goodman's Brafront Geezers Mummers Play. Barry and his friends have been doing the Mummers Play at the club for many years. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it last year, 2020, because of the pandemic, and we're delighted that they're coming back to do it in 2021. We have a support act on the 15th as well, an a cappella act called Sidings A Cappella. Finally, for this year, we have an extra concert on December the 22nd. It's Skimmington Ride, fantastic Irish influenced by the Dubliners, Pogues and others, quite punkish, 5-piece band who many of you will know. And there'll also be limited floor spots as well on the 22nd and possibly on the 15th as well. For all of these gigs, if you'd like to come along, it's a very good idea to phone the pub in advance to book your seats, because spaces are limited. It's 01462 892 341. And if you speak to the landlord, John, he'll be able to book you some seats or tables. So we look forward to seeing you in December. Thank you.
they seem but names upon a wall that grow ever fainter with each passing year. And the young folks say, what are they at all? But in our town we hold them dear. For years ago these boys marched away, and the lucky ones, well, they came back men at the dimming day and the setting sun. We will indeed remember them. And as cars roll by and the people pace, this little shrine attracts but half a glance. A few faded poppies, wind blown at its base, for the laughing lads killed in the mud of France. And when the skies grew dark with Hitler's bombs, oh, the call was answered bravely once again. Oh, at the dimming day and the setting sun, we will